lanes, I've been driving this train. Years in this lane, there's no stopping this flame. Cause I came to the game and I changed it to play how I like, rearranged it to my own domain. Yeah, I got what it takes, made lots of mistakes, taking shots, skipping breaks, feeling lost, feeling great, popping off, singing straight, never stopped, never changed. All the squad here to play, and I've got something to say, yeah. I work hard each and every day, I get lost in the words I say. I don't push pause, no, I push play. I won't stop till I make a change. I withdraw on the things I make. I turn flaws into flawless traits. I build tall, never capping space. I won't stop till I hear him say, oh, oh, la, 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 la. 6 a.m. and I'm up again. I got tired eyes, need a cup of blend. That's right, in the AM, that's my only friend. No light, just the sun coming up on the...
All right. Happy new week. My name is Mfon Akpan, and I am happy to be here. Happy to share what little grains and nuggets that I have with everyone. And I'm coming off of an amazing live stream with Underdog and Black Roo on Black Roo's channel, Rural Black. You can look him up on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe to Underdog and to Black Roo Investing. And the subject of our conversation on Friday is what's inspiring this stream today. And what we had a very, very interesting discussion about was the metaverse, dangers of the metaverse. And I thought this was a very, very important conversation to have, especially because I'm one who's I'm super metaverse. So I'm for all things metaverse. And I think sometimes when you are for something, it's good to look at the other side of the coin and to think about some of the negatives that come with the technology, and many of which are real. And that's what I wanted to just take a few minutes today to just go over and to give you something to think about. Now, firstly, I'm very for the metaverse. As you've heard before, I am long on the metaverse. I have been very long on Mark Zuckerberg and Meta. So I just want that on the record. I do believe he is, and Meta is making a very strong push with the technology. It should not be underestimated. And I can give a couple of examples, one of which is a CEO and founder, hero of mine, Reed Hastings. So many of you who follow my content have heard me speak many times on Reed Hastings. Founder, Netflix, the co-CEO currently, who really at a time when majority of America was using something called VHS and tapes and having VCRs to watch movies, introduced a business model that was built on DVDs and renting DVDs through the mail. Of course, not having those late fees that we're seeing with Blockbuster and other establishments at that time. So you think about it, fast forward from VHS tapes to VCRs, then eventually everyone has DVDs. Fast forward to today, if someone handed me a DVD, how would I play it? Because we watch movies on streaming. And again, Reed Hastings pushed and moved Netflix from a DVD rental business into the streaming juggernaut that it is today. So I think when we think of the metaverse, I see parallels in that. Am I saying Mark Zuckerberg is Reed Hastings? No. Am I saying that we can look to those, could be really a case study or business case studies to see what has happened and how technology has moved? And if we think about how things today move faster than they did before, is it possible that the metaverse is something that we will shift to and will maneuver into? So that's something that I'm very long on, very strong on, and do believe that will happen. What I see with the Meta business model is on hardware, the Oculus headsets, the Oculus Pro, which is supposed to come out, well, it was leaked, it's supposed to come out in October, where you enter into a Meta ecosystem, and you gotta download and pay for apps. So there'll be apps that you'll have to pay for, and they'll generate revenue through that mode. But do I think these things will happen? Yes. Now, what are some issues that we have right now? One big one that I'm very passionate about is job displacement. And when we think about the metaverse and the jobs that will and are being lost due to the metaverse. Now, you may say, well, this normally happens with technology. It does. However, there's something called the 10-10 rule. And the 10-10 rule states that with technology and normally, and this doesn't apply now because of rapid advancements, but it takes 10 years to develop a technology and then 10 years for it to be widely adopted. So if you think about color TV, about 10 years to develop it, and then another 10 years for it to be widely adopted. So you can apply that to many other technologies in the past, but as we move into today, that cycle is much, much shorter. Why is that important? So when you think about 10-10, that's a total of about 20 years. So if you think of a generation being 20 to 25 years, you've got enough time for the next generation to grow up, to develop and adopt the new technology. But this isn't the case. And that's my hypothesis with this now, with the job displacement. Technology is moving rapidly at such a rapid pace that it's hard. Is it possible? Yes, but that training and those skills to develop to offset those jobs that are being displaced, that cycle, there's not that long range of a generation where you can develop and have these other industries and skills training to move into different areas. So I think that's something very important to think about. And if you watch the live stream from Friday, I talk about the movie, I think it's My Time. Now I can't think of the name of the movie. It's on Netflix, ironically, with Kevin Hart and Mark Wahlberg. They star in that movie. Me Time. The movie's called Me Time. So I'm not going to give any spoilers on the movie, but the point is there's a scene in the movie where Kevin Hart's character is with Mark Wahlberg, and they were best friends, really best friends. And I really like it. Mark Wahlberg's character is really kind of bragging on Kevin Hart's character and saying he was a musician and an amazing musician, and that he came out with an album. And this is where it gets interesting, and this is something to think about. So Kevin Hart's character say, yeah, I recorded an album. Then everyone around is like, that's amazing. That's great. Where can we get the album? And he said, well, I have it on a CD. And then the room got quiet. And then I began thinking, because they were like, then the people in the room asked him, so how are we going to play a CD? Can we stream it somewhere? So you think about it now, if I had a CD and I'm thinking, if I have a CD, where am I going to play it? I can't put it in my computer, can't put it in my car. I don't have a CD player. What am I going to do with it? So you think about how rapidly these things are changing. So I thought that was interesting and ironic because I'm watching on Netflix and we talked about Reed Hastings and all of that. But the one thing I wanted to say to think about that I've seen as far as a challenge and a problem is the whole issue of getting into people's space in the metaverse, potential assault, right? So, getting into too close to people, touching people without them wanting you to touch them or interact with them in the metaverse. So I'm not talking about real life. I'm talking about in the metaverse. One platform that I've seen, and there could be others, but a platform that I've actually used and seen this is Microsoft. And that's right, Microsoft has its own metaverse platform called AltSpace VR. So you go into AltSpace VR, you have the option to create a space bubble. This might sound funny, a space bubble. That's right. You can create a space bubble. And what this does, it creates a bubble like a force field. So it creates a buffer so that they can't get too close to people. You can't get too close to them as well, but it prevents people and their avatars in the metaverse from getting too close to you and making you feel uncomfortable. And, one of these things is really, you've got to use the technology to really understand this, because you may be saying, well, this is like a video game or something, or why you need to get into the metaverse. You need to try these platforms out. And that's part of the reason why I do this, is to encourage you to take a look at this. I've been in AltSpace VR, and it's kind of eerie. And not eerie in the sense of like a horror movie eerie. It's eerie in the sense that the avatars, they move around, the eyes blink, the features when you're talking, the people are looking at you, they're moving their heads around. I mean, it's not that they're human, but they have human-like aspects. So you don't get, it's like you're in a movie space game, but with, I can't describe it. I think you just have to see it. So it makes sense to have this space and this distance when you're interacting with others, particularly in these spaces. And particularly, the other point with AltSpace VR, there's a huge social aspect to it because it's all public. So, for the most part, it's public. You can go into different events, and people from all over the world are interacting and talking to people. And by having that function, and there's another function where you can mute other people out. So people you don't want to talk to, or if you don't want to talk to anybody, you don't have to interact or hear, communicate with them, and then have that space bubble. But I think this is something important to think about as more and more people. So that's as it scales, more and more people are in the metaverse, using the metaverse, thinking about these situations and downsides to it. Because you got to think about it, you're in a public place, you may not want to talk to anybody. I've been in Decentraland, I've been in Spatial, and people started conversations. Granted, most of the places that I go to in the metaverse, they're not largely crowded. So it's not like there's a lot of people, but there are situations where people, they come and talk to you. They say hi, they say things to you. And I never really thought, I'm a friendly person, but I never thought about that. Maybe someone could be intimidated by this. Someone may not want this type of interaction. Or it could be interpreted in different ways. So I think those on the social side of things can be a downside with the interactions. Those are my takes on it as far as some of the negative aspects. The big one is the jobs portion because of the displacement aspect. And I think I'll make another video on that because there's different dimensions to it. And what I mean by that is when we think about the metaverse, we think about the whole platform and the environment. However, there's also the hardware aspect to it. So you have the hardware aspect, you have the environment, and then you have different use cases with various forms of hardware. For example, Vuzix and Vuzix glasses in the medical field. So there's other areas to this that have a lot of positives, but if we don't think about the negatives and really having that conversation on Friday had me to really think about, okay, when I think about the positives, it's mainly from an economic aspect on how businesses are able to save money. Well, how are they able to save money? In many cases, by eliminating jobs or the need for many people. So instead of having, 3 people, you can have 2 or 1. Instead of paying someone a higher wage, you can use the technology to have someone working for you at a lower wage. So there's cost savings, but how does that impact the economy and the society? So I think that's something that's very important to think about with the technology, how people are going to be retrained and how this displacement impacts us in our everyday lives. One more thing on how this technology is moving very faster than this 10-10 rule. If you think about, there's a statistic around 80% of US retail stores have self-checkout, where you go and you can scan yourself. So they have self-checkout. So that's a good number of this technology. What does that do? That reduces the need for cashiers, for people working in this, in the store. Now, from what I've researched, that technology is already obsolete. You don't have 100% penetration or 100% use, but it's already obsolete. Because Walmart, you already have Amazon and Amazon and Whole Foods. They're already using this walkout technology, where you don't even have to go and scan it. You can just get your items as you go through the store and then walk out. So that's already here. So I've gone to many Amazon Go stores, that technology is here, but it's not widely adopted. So if you think about how fast this stuff is changing, from self-checkout already being obsolete, because there's already other technology that's in the works for purchasing in retail stores. So I think this is the same thing that we're seeing with the metaverse and the metaverse technology. The last thing I was going to say, when I say metaverse technology, I also mean the hardware. So you have to think about the hardware as well as the software and how these things are changing and moving forward. As usual, I love to hear your comments, your thoughts. I really appreciate them. And until next week, make sure that you subscribe and like and click that notification bell. That way you'll get more, you'll get notifications when there's new videos and when there's new posts on the channel, so you can just stay up to date. Appreciate everybody, and I will see you next week.
veins, I've been driving this train. Years in this lane, there's no stopping this flame. Cause I came to the game and I changed it to play how I like, rearranged it to my own domain. Yeah, I got what it takes, made lots of mistakes, taking shots, skipping breaks, feeling lost, feeling great, popping off, singing straight, never stopped, never changed. All the squad here to play, and I've got something to say, yeah. I work hard each and every day, I get lost in the words I say. I don't push pause, no I push play.